I think I was very fortunate in, like many of us, many creators, we are on the shoulders of many giants, but my giants were like in Istanbul back in time where I was able to like work with many mediums in my undergrad years. And 2008, when I graduate from visual communication design department, I was very fortunate to coin the term data painting. And thanks to the heroes and the professors and mentors, the field was very open-ended and very letting us to think beyond just bias or like stuck in the titles and so on. But I'm also grateful for staying in the academia for a while to just really deep dive into the ideas, the techniques, discourse, and context. And also, I think in at least Istanbul, where the West and East connects, where like the Silicon, like the Silk Road data that is just centuries old data comes from all that generations of information and literally stops in Istanbul and disperse from there. It's exactly the feeling. So I'm very grateful to be able to grow up in a multicultural, international environment already. And I think that also triggered many creators' mind about like seeing making invisible visible idea, making that culture visible is always like the fundamentals. But also, sometimes constraints in life is exciting. Like I didn't have always like the opportunity of using the best computer or the like most biggest budgets of things to create. In fact, finding ways of producing reality from your dreams in a constrained cultures are much more challenging. But when you explore it and feel it and experience it, appreciation to the idea and dreams, I think the constraints simply made things much exciting. So I think my journey with data started in 2008, but in 2011 learned about data sculpture, but 2016 became much more meaningful by using AI in my practice. And then I realized that actually the data, when we detach ego from data, what it remains is the memories. And the data become not only just information, boring numbers, but it can become a beautiful form of a memory, and it can take any form. So that idea grew last 6 years. But this specific project, especially NFT project, and again, thanks to like NFT space, that allows many creators in digital space that get attention and positively attracted the audience in a way that the digital art can become a medium. And thanks to that, I think this project is much more timely. I've been working with space data since 2018, thanks to NASA GPL, and we are also directly creating an artwork in the upcoming new NASA GPL building here in Pasadena, and work with Mars data, Hubble telescope, and ISS, and so on. But this specific project is so meaningful because it's the very first human travel to space, and all civilian travel to space, and thanks to Elon Musk SpaceX, of course, thanks to Isaac Jaredman, who made it happen as the mission captain. The idea of going space in a scientific context is different than some other billionaires like trying to do, another like a touristic thing. The project is a much more meaningful and has a context, and I'm so grateful that we as a team were able to get all the mission data, including SpaceX telemetry data, which is the Dragons, like the journey, cabin pressure, temperature, like everything you think about the mission itself became a memory and data for studio to create art. And most importantly, the project is not another NFT project. It has a charity context to really be helpful for our upcoming generation, for children. We are donating significant portion of the drop to St. Jude Hospital to help for cancer research for children. And the idea here is very meaningful because like we are looking for space, our future. Isn't it like much more meaningful to give the future the same hope to the young minds? So I found it much more meaningful and purposeful when it's not just an NFT project, but has this discourse and context, and has a meaning and purpose. Yes, so machine intelligence is a keyword specifically I heard 2016 when I started doing my residency at Google. And it's thanks to Blaise Agüero Arcas, who is a brilliant engineer and researcher at Google, who opened the Artist and Machine Intelligence Group. And this group specifically focus not necessarily AI, but the idea of using machine as a conscious model of collaborator. And in that context, intelligence had the foundational idea of like remembering, learning, dreaming, hallucinating, like pretty much like very humanly cognitive context. And that was very inspiring because like many people who love science fiction, who loves games, I think we all love at least for me when I was playing the game since I was 8 years old, the idea of like you work and you play with someone else, like there's always someone there. So that idea of a computer as a friend idea is very, for me, childhood fundamental idea. But when I did my residency at Google, and thanks to also Kenrick McDowell and Mike Tyka, we were fundamentally researching and understanding this question. If a machine can learn, can it dream? And this exciting question to me is so inspiring that opens up much more imagination potential. And of course, machines do not decide yet, but even the fundamental thinking of a machine is learning next to you, but can it dream? Or as an artist, can you create a thinking brush? Can you put your brush in the mind of a machine and paint with machine consciousness? Like these are not like weird keywords. It's literally algorithmically we can do it. And to me, machine intelligence is a form of AI that can mimic as much as human cognitive model. And that can be an infinite research that is right now we are seeing. I feel like it's happening right now, somewhere. Somewhere in the cloud. But I mean, the good news, I guess, right now, machines do not decide yet. While, like Elon Musk's potential fears about how AI can be a negative form of entity for humanity, which is true. Without being a wishful thinker, we can predict that the machines can create a negativity for humanity. But in the meantime, it's, I think, 50-50%. I think it's just finding the discovering the fire. Like we cook around it, we become a community around it, a culture. With the same technology, we destroy each other. We make guns and things. So it's not so different for humanity's history. Once we have technology in the core, I think we find these ways of like damaging or healing or becoming one. So I'm in the optimist side. I do believe that. And also the world has enough problems. I'm not here to bring another problem. I'm just like trying to be as more optimist and asking the question is, what else can we do with that? And that question, to me, is much harder to answer than just predict some negativity in any technology. Very true. So this is a very interesting part. I think it's maybe my age, 35. Like now I'm just thinking, trying to be more meaningful and I think purposeful for humanity. I feel like there's a high chance that we can create an experience with art that can be also meaningful for humanity. For example, we were researching 2017. Unfortunately, my uncle diagnosed by Alzheimer's. And it was that year I was doing my residency at Google. Like in my one side of my mind is blown away by like the potential of AI, like how a cutting edge technology and a company is discovering the world. But in the meantime, like a jump cut, I'm next to my uncle and he's losing and his memories were melting. It was at the exact time that I understood that this extreme spectrum of like potentials are really important. For example, for that project, we created an algorithm that detects real time from the EEG signals the moment of remembering. But that tool made art, but also became a tool for scientists researching memory problems. So I think it's possible that at this time, people working with technology to make art has the potential to create tools that can be also beneficial for the science. Like at the moment we are researching at UCLA here in Los Angeles with 3 clinics and the impact of art in the mind of like stress, anxiety, depression, Alzheimer's and dementia. Like we are literally clinically researching how can we be more helpful and meaningful and purposeful for humanity. So first of all, I think the pandemic reality made us all get used to these like virtual meetings. I am deeply grateful to be physically on a stage with a heartbeat, with a laptop and seeing people. And being human again is incredibly, I'm deeply grateful for this. Because I do believe, while I love metaverse, I love virtual space, I love everything about virtual world, but I do believe being human in the physical world and connecting each other, like saying hi and sharing the emotions, connecting in physical world is so meaningful. I think we miss this, and I think we need to adapt back to like to remember who we are. It will take some time. That's why I'm deeply appreciating this event. To physically in Angelino, I'm living in a new home in 10 years in Los Angeles, going out and seeing friends from social media, hugging them and saying hi. It's just incredible.